Hi, I'm Michael from Northerners Nook, and in this episode of World War II's Coastal Defences of Morecambe, we're going to be at Sunderland Point. As we come into the village, these concrete cylinders are some of the first wartime reminders. They form part of Britain's anti-invasion defences, and examples of these were designed to be moved into position as obstacles for incoming vehicles. The holes in the top were intended to help with handling. A metal bar could be inserted in to help manoeuvre them into position. Obstacles like this would be put into roads and access points, and sometimes aligned with barbed wire, adding to the barrier and make it more difficult to pass. For most visitors, this is a peaceful corner of Lancashire, known for its walks, its wildlife, views across Morecambe Bay, and also known for Sambo's grave. Sunderland Point sits at the mouth of the River Lune estuary, reached by a tidal road that controls access that remains the only land route in and out of this village. As the threat of the invasion grew in 1940, coastal defences were built around the country, and even this small corner of Morecambe Bay was not exempt from the fallout of war. As we walk around Sunderland Point, we're going to uncover what was here, what life may have been like for the people who lived alongside it. We've just gone further up, and in this direction would be Glasson Dock. When I do take us to that area of our next videos, I'll be able to show you in a bit more detail, but today it's a much quieter working dock and marina, but during the war it formed part of the same wider coastal landscape around this Lune estuary. Glasson had its own defensive measures also, including pillboxes, anti-tank defences. So here we're looking across an estuary and coastline that needed protecting. So we can see Glasson and neighbouring Sunderland Point that I'm at, and that it wasn't just one isolated position. And across there is the Plover Scar lighthouse as well. And in this area, I think, was the old hall, which was a requisitioned building by the military and used as an officer's mess. So I'm going to walk back, and I will take us further down and into the village, and then we will be heading on. So now, as we walk through Sunderland Point, now we can try and imagine it in the 1940s. The houses are still here, the lanes are still here, and of course the bay. But there would have been soldiers moving through these streets, and military vehicles using this road. Residents who were children here during the war remembered following marching groups of soldiers trying to keep in step with them, and as they made their way through the village. And the military presence directly went into this village. The old hall was requisitioned and used as an officer's mess, as I previously mentioned. A boat store in the lane was taken over and used as an army garage for the vehicles supporting the camp. And beyond this village was the main military camp. Today much of it is the landscape has disappeared and returned to farmland, and most of its wartime buildings have disappeared. But we will get to that. So as we walk towards, I'm just going to mention what I haven't mentioned in my previous. So, like about pillboxes. A Type 22 was a regular hexagon and all its 6 outer sides had equal length. A layout was a rifle or light machine gun loopholes on 5 sides with the entrance on the 6th. And the interior features a Y or T-shaped internal blast anti-ricochet wall support roof, which I showed in one of my previous videos in Carnforth. The Type 24, I think that was another one in Carnforth by the railway station, but I will try and show you better examples. An irregular hexagon, one rear wall was longer, and that's to accommodate the doorway, and shorter sides for firing. The layout embrasures are positioned to give wider fields of fire, often across all or most faces with entrance with 5 firing slips. The interior generally was roomier and doesn't feature a wide wall layout found in Type 22s, and the Type 23s that we're going to see in a much more closer version today was generally rectangular in plan. The layout was partly roofed and partly open-topped, designed specifically to house a light anti-aircraft gun mounted in the open section, accessed by internal ladder. But a lot of these variations changed. Yeah, so as we go up these lanes, we can imagine what it was like. This is the boathouse I mentioned. Along these fields to the right of me, so this is beyond the village. This is where during the war there would have been groups of Nissan huts, stores and other buildings for the soldiers stationed here. There were men and women carrying out daily work required to keep the site operating: guarding, administration, supplies, maintenance and catering. So as we continue down the lane towards the coast, then we will definitely see that some of the surviving defences begin to tell us more. And there's Heysham Power Station in the distance. So here we go. Right, we're finally here, and this is an example of the Type 23 pillboxes. Today they sit quietly overlooking the sands, but during the war they formed part of Sunderland Point's coastal defences, giving troops protected positions from which to observe the approaches across Morecambe Bay. If I look behind me, the view is remarkably familiar, but the people standing here 80 years ago weren't looking at the bay in the same way. They were watching it. Now I'll just get us a closer angle what it would have looked like, but because it's private farmland I'm unable to get closer to it. So there is one further up. So at the back of it would have been open, and that building over there is one of the last remaining structures of the army camp. I believe it was an armory. There would have been Nissan huts and everything around here. So the pillboxes were only part of this site though. There was also an anti-aircraft battery equipped with a 3.7 gun positioned here. There is uncertainty over the exact number of guns here. The official record suggests 4, while aerial photographs and most local memories point towards a single gun. The distinction is worth making because local history isn't always neat as a record book. What we do know is that this is an anti-aircraft position. The gun required a crew, ammunition, maintenance and support. And then we'll go towards the second pillbox. And I will pause again because it's a few minute walk. I don't want to just have you watching landscape. So here we are, just a minute's walk away from it. Right, this is the other side. So, there we are. So, and alongside the pillboxes and the gun emplacement was also a GL Mark II radar. So this wasn't simply just a gun sitting in a field along with 2 pillboxes. There were people watching the skies, tracking aircraft and supporting gun crews. There was also a much larger camp behind the defences, as I've shown you behind there, and the Nissan huts would have filled part of the landscape, but many of them decayed and went into disrepair. And if I could get access to the farm, then you are able to find some remnants under the vegetation where these things were. So these things were stores for everything, vehicles, equipment. They were all needed to keep running this site. One surviving building is traditionally identified as the former armory, which I've already shown you. But most of the camp has disappeared, which makes standing here quite extraordinary. And eventually the war ended. So the old hall returned to civilian use. The former army garage became a village building once again. But the pillboxes remain. The concrete cylinders remain. And these surviving wartime structures give us enough to piece together what this place was like. The village and its surrounding areas may never have been a famous wartime battle, but it was part of the same national effort to defend the country. And that's what makes Sunderland Point's wartime history worth remembering. Some of the evidence is still here, you just need to know where to look. And thank you for watching. I hope that was good. So yeah, I am going to do a little bonus episode for you guys. It's on the outskirts of Lancaster, and I will be getting round to doing Barrow and Blackpool, and I'm going to try and do the Glaston Dock area, but there isn't a lot to see, so I'm going to try and incorporate some of those Lancaster sites in. Okay, but they're a bit spread out, but I've enjoyed this series and I'm hoping you guys enjoy it also. So enjoy the weather and stay safe and enjoy. Thank you for watching. Thank you. Bye.